you were in WWE for like 22 years, and one of the things that I thought was quite interesting was you did so many different things. You were in so many different tag teams, different factions, and you committed to everything that you did. And one example that I wanted to bring up of that was that you were the inaugural member of the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club. And when you did that, you were so committed as a character to doing it that it worked for you and the character.
Yeah. Once I did it, everybody wanted to do it. Right? Mick Foley does enough of these. You ask Mick Foley. He volunteered instantly. He desperately wanted to do it. So I was the commissioner. They had come to me and said it was just a passing thing. First of all, it was things you learn in life. I've always, I never quite understood this, and Mr. McMahon was incredibly good to me and always was. I had under no illusions when I went back to WWE in 2000. Mr. McMahon said to me, when I have, and he stuck to his word the whole time, when I have the right role for you, you'll be in it. But when it's not, you'll be working. Because I didn't get paid like people get paid now. We got a certain amount of money, and then I got paid off the live gates on working, 12 extra shows a month. We used to average 16 shows a month when I first went there, because it's SmackDown. At SmackDown, yeah, SmackDown and Star. All right, so, but 2 days of TV and two shows, so 8 extra house shows. You didn't, in those days, get paid a lot to be on TV. Because and you got paid to be on pay-per-views, which I was never really on that many pay-per-views. But I knew that going in there. My handshake deal with Mr. McMahon was to be on live events, and he said, because he has a vision of where he sees people and what he wants. He knew I was a workhorse. I could wrestle anybody. I could mold into he'd seen enough or knew enough about me. I'd had anybody who knows the story. 1998, I went there. I was all my fault. I messed it up, but I went back in 2000. And he said, this is where it is. This is what we're doing, Darren. Boom. And it was never any different. And if you look, why you were all sat here for whatever reason, even if it's just because you've heard of me on AEW, I got to this place because I was given incredibly memorable roles that people still remember now. And everybody that's come up today, most of you have said a different thing. I remember you doing this. I remember you doing that. I remember. And it's like, yeah, because he gave them to me. And whatever I started with in WCW, once I got to WWE, he gave me the commissioner roles pretty much from the first night. I went into the Goodwill Ambassador, which turned into the commission. Incredible role to get to interact with everybody. 2000, this is me. I'm just me. I'm just a normal, and I'm stood across the ring from The Rock, and I'm stood across the ring from Steve Austin, and I'm involved in all these things that you probably don't at the time. Oh, it's just another day. I defy you to find, and I don't think it's about me. I defy you to find anybody like me who's a normal person who has the list of opponents that I've had. You will never find that in history ever again. And that's don't clap that, because that's not on me. That's just me being born at the right time and having people help me and giving me opportunities. That's why I understand that. That's why NXT turned into what it was. I want to give those opportunities back to people. That's why what I'm doing now at the moment, we really believe in giving opportunities to people. I wouldn't be here without that. So I get a message off, can I go and see him one day? Everything's going great with this commissioner role. Darren, it's time to end this. And it took me about 10 seconds of going, to listening to him, which I always did. And he said, and here's why. He said, it's at its peak at the moment. And he again, everybody has a different Mr. McMahon story. I have nothing but the great things with him. I had a great rapport with him because the From day one, the Goodwill Ambassador was his idea. So any direction I got was directly from him. Anytime I ever questioned anything, I had no problem. I could just walk straight into. I didn't have to talk to anybody else. Boss, what you need? And he again, because I'd been doing this so long at the time, he didn't have to spend half an hour explaining anything to me. He just one sentence, thanks, and that was it. I could get on with it, and he trusted me with everything. So I go in, and he went, "We're going to end this because never let anything pass." And as he's explaining, I'm going, "Oh," and then I went, "Oh." By the time he'd finished the sentence, he went, "Never let anything go past this peak, because you can always go back to it. Don't ever ruin it. Know when to finish something right at the top, and then leave it." Right? Have you all heard that old expression, Elvis has left the building? Right. Colonel Parker, there's a film come out recently, like, Colonel Parker never let Elvis do an encore. Ever. Always leave him wanting more. Now, I'm nobody, but I learned that lesson that day. I went in and he went, and I've tried to do that with everything I've ever done since. And most of the time, because he told me when it was, right, it's time to finish this, or sometimes unfortunate things happened. I was on doing something, King of the Ring thing in 2007, which was a big run for me. People will say that I was supposed to be, nobody knows. The only person that knows what was going on in Mr. McMahon's head was Mr. McMahon. Nobody else knows what. I certainly wasn't told that I was ever going to be world champion. I was just going week to week. I got a drug suspension, which I still don't know what it is. I would tell you if I knew what it was. I've got no reason. I've told you everything that I would. I've spilled. I got 2 suspensions in WWE. One of them, my name was on a list, and it was just because it was a hot topic at the time because of certain events, and it was, sorry, Darren, there's nothing we can do. Your name has come out on a list, and there's nothing. Okay, and I went, well, okay, take it on the chin. And the second one, there's a fraction of something showed up in your. What do you mean, a fraction of what? Well, it could be one of 30 things. I said, listen, I wouldn't take a fraction of anything. I said, when I was bang at it in the 90s, I said, it'd be like throwing a sausage in a tunnel. It'd be a waste of time, me taking it. And he said to me, because it was, because of, and I'll just have to say it, because of the Chris Benoit situation and all the bad publicity around it, they had to sign over all the drug testing to a outside company. And Mr. McMahon said, if I was you, I would fight that. And I said, if I fight that, I'm going to drag the company down with, like it's going to have to go into, I don't want to do that. And I can't afford to be fighting a drug company because they can just drag that on forever. I'll just take it on the chin. So that's what happened when I got pulled out. If you ever want to know what, I still to this day don't know why. And I've told that on a few podcasts recently, or even on my own. I've told the story why if you want to listen to it. I still don't know. So anybody who thinks that, no, I don't know. It was a ridiculous thing, but I was not going to try and waste my time fighting because I'd have been off anyway. If I'd have been fighting them, I'd have been off. So I might as well just take the 2 months off, the 7 weeks off, and come back to work so I could earn money for my family because I can't earn it when I'm not working. So why spend a load of money? Everybody has, yes, blow it into a story because here's another thing about wrestling. Kenny, you're in the wrestling business. You ain't going to like me saying this. There's not a lot happens really, is there? Right? You have to do, if you knew the reality of what really happens in wrestling, there's not much happens. Occasionally there's something happens. Oh, great, there's a big story. Oh, we can run with that for a few weeks. But the majority of days in wrestling, I can tell you because I live in it, nothing. Nothing at all. Right? Look at him, he's brushing now because he knows how much that's the truth. Right? But you do it, you'll fill up with interviews. But if something happens, great, you don't have to fill it up with interviews that month because you've got things to write about. It's the truth. It's like how the papers work here. What happens? Right, you get your local newspaper. What happens in your local area? How is the Sun and the Mirror full of stuff every day? Right? Where do you live? Oh, well, there was a cat up a tree today. It makes the news in your local newspaper. Right, that's how much goes on in wrestling. Most days, nothing. Zero, right? Or people create drama in their heads that isn't there. Somebody like me walks in and goes, what? Really? That? And because I live in reality. And I'm a grown-up, and I've seen too much, and what people think is whatever, I just go, no, it's not. That's just that. Or just you talk to him and put it, that. Again, I come from different kind of mindset and not about nonsense. So Mr. McMahon said to me, we're going to get you out of this role. And I went, okay. And he said, because never pass your peak. He said, because if you leave it right at the right time, you can always go back to that. How many times have you don't have to, you might know, I don't expect you to know, how many times did I go back to being the general manager, commissioner, whatever? Quite a lot. And I've just done it for how many years? So, who's ever done a 7-year run as a general manager? Nobody. Who's done as many runs as a general manager for as long as I've done? Nobody. And every time you are the GM, NXT was an exception where only in the last 2 years of COVID, where we were just survival mode because we had to rely on everybody who could hit times and put a show out in dire times. We had to, and they were using me a lot more. And I used to say, please don't put me on. This is not about me. It's about the younger talent. If you watch NXT before COVID, I was barely on there except for to come out and make the things for TakeOver. But very rare did you occasionally little bits of me. And they got to rely on me a bit more because I could do this. And me and Adam Cole had chemistry. But you can go back to doing the same role. Well, the first time with the general manager, the GM, Darren, we're going to take you out of this role. Okay, yep, don't ever let anything get past speak. Great, okay. We want you to wrestle this lad, Edge. He's been in this tag team with Christian, and we think he's going to be a big singles star, but he's been in this kind of entertaining tag team. We need him to look like he's tough in the people's eyes, and he can take a beating. And you're the man for the job. And I went, okay, yeah, absolutely, because I got on very well with Edge. And he went, I said, I don't know what it is, boss. I said, but we need this came to me because of real life experience. I said, boss, we need something. You come up with whatever you want, because I can get away with anything with my character. Right? I can get away with anything. I'm me. I'm very comfortable with being me. I've got nothing to prove. I don't think I'm a tough guy. I don't think I'm anything. Other people say things about me that I just go, I'm not like that. I'm just me. I don't think I'm anything. I'm just me, but I'm a pro and I do my job. But the character of William Regal or Lord Stephen Regal can get away with murder or can get away with doing any comedy or getting away with whatever he needs to, because I'm not frightened of doing it. I'm not, but it's something that I do at work, and then I go home and I'm just me at home. And you would find me very boring at home because I don't do much, right? That's it. So I said, we need a way, and I knew as a villain, because one thing I was very good at was being a very good villain in wrestling. And I'd learned from very good villains, and I knew how to make people truly hate me. I said, I need something to humiliate me really badly so I can take that frustration. You know when you ever slip in front of you, like do something bad in front of anybody, it's the worst feeling, right? You get that where you want to lash out, or do you any of you, I'm asking you now, have you ever like done something foolish in front of people and you just want to like either curl up and die or lash out or whatever? Yes, no? Yep. So just because of life. I'd learned that I used to use that for years, was one of my tricks. I never really did it on TV, but on live events, I would purposely do something where I would fall on my backside somehow. Whether it be go out the ring and argue with somebody and come back in and trip on the rope and bang. And the trick to it is to have everybody start laughing at you because you throw a tantrum, and then have the person, the good guy you're on with, take advantage of that and throw you all over the place. And then when you finally stop them, look at the crowd and then attack the person. Because basically, if you're a good guy in wrestling, you're fighting for everybody that is watching. Should be the way you think. It's why you go to action movies, right? You want the person to do the fighting for you. That's the way I was always taught. Anyway, so the person who's the good guy, I'll humiliate myself. It's not an easy trick to do, but you have to be, and again, only when you're comfortable with yourself to fall on your backside can you do this. Most people are always trying to act tough. I don't think I'm tough. I don't need to prove I'm tough. I don't care about being tough. I'm not tough. I'm just me. But I understand my job. I would say I'd fall on my nose, sell my nose, have the person I'm on with go bounce me from pillar to post, and then I'll be begging off, and then cheat to stop them, and then attack them from behind, which just to anybody watching understands is a horrible thing to do, and then stamp all over them. And literally on live events, look at people in the crowd and go, this is your fault. You were laughing at me 20 seconds ago. Well, now I'm going to keep beating it. And sometimes I got to where I could project it without even talking. At first, I used to verbally do it. After a while, again, your skill set becomes where I can just project it on people and just be not even looking at the person I'm beating up and looking at somebody on the third row and just kneeing the person I'm on with and hitting them and going, like, basically saying, I wish this was you because you were laughing at me and you were laughing at me, but he's copping for it. And then you get real hatred. And I know the difference between real hatred and what people think is hatred now. It's a different kind of a thing. And I know how to do that. So I said to him, I need something to give me a reason to go from being this character that I'm being, which is a bit half funny, half whatever I need to be. Whatever this character is, I need something to humiliate me. I don't care what it is. I get to TV that day, and they said, we're going to do this, is the thing we did. But the whole thing was not to actually do it. It was just, he's going to fire me. If you actually watch that show in its entirety, unless my brain is completely gone, Taz, who was Killer Taz at the time, at the end of that show, after I did that thing with Vince, he says something to me on the way out of the ring, and I beat the life out of him, and then drag him into the ring, or there's a match, something, and I beat him in about 30 seconds. So if you actually watch it in story fashion, there's it gets taken out of context now. This is episodic television. He fires me, and this I remember very well. We're walking through they sort of, whoever pitched this to me sheepishly sort of went, oh, we've got this idea. I went, yeah. And they went, yeah, what he's going to, and Vince said, yeah, what we're going to do, I'm going to do my thing. And me and him never used to talk about anything. We had great chemistry. I had an incredible amount of backstage things with him, and there's a ton of them. There's so many of those things. If they ever put that, just that backstage stuff, there's that much of it that you take for granted, but you get in just put in people's minds by keep doing these things. And it's usually the entertaining stuff, unless you're a incredible wrestler. Well, I'm not. I'm just a normal wrestler. But it's all the entertaining things or the little funny things that all add up, and you start remembering me for whatever. So the thing is to get there and then him go, no, and stop me. and then we go to the back. And I still beat Taz up and then beat him up. And I've got it in my head, no, I'm going to do it. I've got to have a real reason to be completely humiliated so I can show real rage. And I need to have something that people... And this may sound silly, but at the same time, my brain starts... I'm not a big star pay-per-view guy. I'm not a big-time player in the WWE. But I know how decent my royalty checks used to be. And I know how much money, and I'm still getting paid. And nowadays, it's point something, something, something of something that is sold with my likeness on it. And at the time, DVDs were a big thing. And I used to make a lot of money by just being on a match or my face flashing just one little clip of me, and I got paid a chunk of money for being on a... For DVD sold 100,000 copies, I would get a lot of money for it. I thought, this will get shown forever. Because I didn't realize DVDs would come to an end. You don't, why would you at the time? So I didn't care one bit. I've got nothing to prove. I'm play a character. I'm not silly commissioner. I'm not a lord. I'm me when I go home. I haven't got my friends, my real friends outside of wrestling. None of us, we don't talk wrestling when I'm together. When I go to Blackpool with my friends, it's just the last... No, I'd rather listen to what they're going on in their lives, and I don't. It's never on. It's just Dan and who does the wrestling. That's it. I don't. It's none of them ever, because they know I just play a character at work. I play a villain on TV or whatever they put it in their head of. I don't. That's it, right? So we are backstage and we're about to go out. So we hadn't talked about anything, and I knew he'd do his bit, and I'd do what I was going to do. And he was going, and I said, yeah, and I'll do it. And he went, no. And we are having an argument right before we go out to do this. And I'm having not like an argument, but like he's going, you're not going to, I'm going, I am. He's going, no, you're not. And I'm going, I am. He said, you're not. I said, I am. And I think he went out first. I don't know. I think he went out first. I'm not sure. Whoever went out anyway. And I get out. And if you actually look, this is what the whole thing of this stays around. If you look, I just peck him here. Nobody ever mentions the fact that there is loads of footage of me getting my head completely buried up Rikishi's ring piece. And I mean, because I'm very comfortable and because I know that it would get me a lot of reaction as a villain, some people would be like that. Again, lead. When you lead, you should lead by example. Watch Mr. McMahon do it. When he had to do it, when Mick Foley had to do it, people who understand how to get their characters across Mick was jumped on the bandwagon. When Mr. McMahon finally got his comeuppance and got the Rikishi thing, he'd committed. When I did a peck on here, when I did the Rikishi thing, fully committed to it, right? Hold your breath. Here we go. But if you are smart and you know how to do your job, I can hold my breath for a long time. And because Rikishi knows exactly how to, and because he's been wrestling since he can remember, I used to say, I can hear, he can hear, keep going until the crowd die. Or until I maybe give you a certain signal because I've run out of breath. Because reactions, if he's doing that and people are getting louder and louder and laughing and whatever reaction they're getting, then when I come out of it and I'm going, we don't have to take any bumps. We don't have to drop each other on our heads. We don't have to do any more. people are enjoying themselves and having a good time. Rikishi gets his thing. He can stand there and dance. I can pull faces, and everybody's happy, and they all go home, and we've done our bit. And so when you ask about that, that was why. And again, watch it in context of, take Taz at the time. Again, you know Taz for what he does on AEW now. Taz was Killer Taz. Taz got killed in 30 seconds by William Regal right after that. And then William Regal went on to start using the knuckle dusters and beating Edge to death. And then Edge, and it was all laid out to me. Edge went from me to, I believe, was it Kurt Angle next? To Kurt Angle, to the next, to main eventing pay-per-views. Job done. They trusted me enough to be the first person, but it was, we need you to strip down your act for what you're doing and pound that. And I mean, I smashed the life out of Edge. If you watch any of those matches, people didn't really care at the time. You go back and watch them and watch how much they were different than anybody else was doing as far as looking like really nasty-looking Japanese and European style wrestling. What people do now, I was doing 21 years ago with Edge. And I did a lot of that with a lot of things that you see people doing later on, and you go, yeah, no, I've already done it. You can't remember because you're too young to remember, but I was doing that, and probably a lot more vicious and a lot more nastily, because I know all the tricks to doing it, than you'll ever learn, because unfortunately nowadays you don't get to wrestle as many times as I do, or be around all these fellas that had done this for 30 years when I first started, or 20 years, and they taught me because you have to go to every building and every place, and every crowd is different, and you have to know how to make every crowd react on every single night you're out there, because they're all different. And I picked up all these tricks, which is just an unfortunate byproduct of the world we live in now, because everybody just gets thrown on TV and expected to be, and some people are going to make it and some people aren't. It's just the way it is.